kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I can feel it still. We could
Good morning and welcome to Arkansas Tech University. In partnership with our Attorney General Tim Griffin and his staff, we are gathered here to address a very important public health emergency. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid 50 and 100 times stronger than heroin or morphine, and it accounts for a large amount of opiate-related deaths. In 2022, the Arkansas State Crime Lab reported 457 total drug overdose deaths, with fentanyl as a contributing factor in over 250 of those deaths, more than half. In August of 2024, the Arkansas State Police seized approximately 7,000 fentanyl pills during a traffic stop along our own Interstate 40, which runs by our campus. Those numbers are just two of the many indications that opioid-related deaths, particularly those from pills that include fentanyl, is a clear and present danger for Arkansans, including members of our own Arkansas Tech University community. That is why Arkansas Tech has been at the forefront of both educating our students about the dangers of opioids and fentanyl, as well as how to save lives in the event of an opioid overdose. I would like to remind you, as far back as in 2018, Arkansas Tech was hosting expert guest speakers that came to campus and educated our students about the dangers of opioids. As the threat continues to grow, so did our response. For the past 2 years, Arkansas Tech has participated in the Arkansas Collegiate Network's NALOX Box Bystander Rescue Program. This life-saving program is designed to make Noxolone, which is the generic name for the medication in Narcan, which is another term you will hear during these conversations. We want it readily available on our university campuses as an emergency intervention tool with the capacity to reverse a possible opioid overdose. This program includes in-person and virtual training, as well as the installation and maintenance of over 50 NALOX box stations on the Russellville campus. And in accordance with Act 811 of the 94th General Assembly, opioid overdose rescue kits are located in all our ATU educational buildings, our residence halls, our athletic facilities, our student union, and the Health and Wellness Center. Act 811 is one example of how the state of Arkansas has stepped up to lead in protecting its students from the dangers of fentanyl and other opioids. Another such example is of our own Attorney General Tim Griffin's One Pill Can Kill initiative, which we are very proud to be a part of. Mr. Griffin was sworn in as the 57th Attorney General of the state of Arkansas on January 10th, 2023, having previously served his state as Lieutenant Governor from 2015 to 2023, and from 2011 to 2015, Mr. Griffin served as the 24th representative of Arkansas' 2nd Congressional District in Washington, D.C. He is also an officer of the Arkansas Army National Guard and holds the rank of Colonel. Mr. Griffin is a graduate of Magnolia High School, Hendrix College in Conway, and Tulane Law School in New Orleans. He also attended graduate school in Oxford University. He currently lives in Little Rock with his wife Elizabeth, a Camden native, and their 3 children. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Tim Griffin.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for having me. I got a great welcome by a beautiful skunk. How many of y'all seen a skunk here? There's several families, I'm told, and we just stayed clear. I shouted to another student who was right in the path, and she went way around, gave them plenty of room, but very peaceful and clean-looking skunk. So anyway, it's great to be here. We came up last night, spent the night so we could try some of your great coffee, Natural State here in town. We just had a great morning, and I'm excited to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about how we got here. to this one pill can kill phase of meetings and press conferences all around the state. We're having these at two-year colleges, four-year universities, private, public, you name it. So over a decade ago, what started to become apparent nationally is that we had a crisis on our hands with opioids. But at the time, they were not illegal opioids with fentanyl. They were prescription opioids. Let's just say about 15 years ago. And we had hundreds of thousands of Americans dying from prescription opioid overdoses. Now, prescription versus illicit is a really important distinction in this story. So what was happening is that healthcare professionals, particularly doctors and others, were overprescribing these opioids. And at the same time, some companies, some pharmacies, pharmaceutical companies and pharmacies, not necessarily one here or there, but the companies nationally, they were all pushing for more prescriptions of these prescription opioids. Now, once we got our arms around the problem and started and realized that was what was going on, this country all over at different levels, state government, federal government, in the courts, the professional organizations, particularly in healthcare, they all sort of said, well, wait a minute. We got to do things differently. We are making oxycodone, for example, we're making them too widely available. And so we had a lot of litigation, meaning lawsuits where a lot of these companies had to pay. They had to pay states like ours. And that's some of that money that we got from those lawsuits, funding these sorts of press conferences and training and some of the other stuff that we're going to be doing here. And also, I think the healthcare community started to say, hey, we got to train differently. We gotta figure. We've got to make it clear that there are alternative routes. And so I'm talking about prescription opioids. This is a really important distinction. So, with regard to the prescription opioids, it's important to remember that these are drugs that are produced in pharmaceutical grade factories. They're potent drugs. They're highly addictive. But when you're holding an oxycodone, for example, you don't question what's in it. You know what it is, right? It's a prescribed drug. It is supposed to be closely controlled. And there is a legitimate medical use for that. They can be very dangerous if misused, but there is a legitimate use. My brother died in March of opioids. He had a long battle with a really bad back surgery that caused just extreme pain. And it's probably 15 years ago or so. And when that occurred, the doctor just said, here's a bunch of opioids. And he was immediately addicted. Now, I got him to pain management specialist who said, hey, we're going to give him a number of options and use opioids only for the extreme pain. But over time, his body degraded and he died in March. So I'm very familiar with this. That's a problem, pharmaceutical grade opioids, because they're so addictive. So we've got to continue to be vigilant there. But let me tell you, the problem we're facing now is more extreme. It's greater. It's a greater crisis than what we were facing with pharmaceutical grade. Because what brings us here today, and what I'm warning people about here in the state, certainly there are dangers with prescription opioids. But the main focus of these one pill can kill press conferences and trainings, that's illicit opioids. What's the difference? Well, like I said, like oxycodone, for example, that's a pharmaceutical grade prescription drug opioid. We know where it's made. We know what's in it. We know what it does. We know what the dangers are. It can be misused, but there's a lot we know about it. Not the case with illicit. Illicit opioids are produced wherever, not in a clean factory, wherever, south of the border primarily, in Mexico. They're made with ingredients shipped over from China, not pure, not pharmaceutical grade, just ingredients that can get you addicted really quickly, can give you a really big high, and it can kill you. And you have no idea who's producing it, what the quality is, what else is in the pill, for example. And some of this fentanyl is even being included in the cocaine and marijuana and other stuff that's being sold. You never know. Now, why would they add that in? Because they want to get you addicted. They want to get you high. They want you wanting more. Who wants you wanting more? The criminals. So here's what's happened. Once we start to get our arms around the pharmaceutical grade prescription drug problem, the supply shrank because we're being more deliberate, more intentional about who gets those opioids. And so the criminals said, there is a market. There's a market because it's harder to get the prescription drug opioids. So let's fill that market with trash that can kill, that'll make us a lot of money and get them addicted really fast. So what's happening is the Chinese, blessed by the Chinese government, are shipping fentanyl and other of the ingredients necessary to make illicit opioids across the world to Mexico, where this stuff is produced. A lot of the pills look like legitimate pills. They have fentanyl in them, but they could have concrete. They could have sheetrock, like these walls. Anything to take up the space of the pill, because the fentanyl is just a tiny bit of it. You don't need much. There's even a new report out of Congress that shows that the Chinese government was giving tax credits to companies who would ship this stuff to Mexico destined for the United States. This is stuff that cannot be sold in China, but they're giving tax credits to companies to ship it over here. Why would they do that? I won't get into all that, but it's called gray zone warfare. They're killing Americans without pulling a trigger. That's what the Chinese are doing. So the bottom line is the people producing these illicit opioids, these pills that are circulating at parties, these pills that someone may offer you, the people producing them, they don't care if you live or die. All they want is your money and for you to be addicted. And think about it. You have no idea where this stuff's coming from. It could have gone through 10 different hands, sitting in the bottom of 10 different backpacks. You have no idea. It's disgusting. But people get at parties, they'll have a few drinks or whatever, and their inhibitions go down, their guard goes down. They're having a good time, and someone offers them a pill, and they think, I'll try this. And some people never wake up. That's why we say one pill can kill. It's not hyperbolic. It's real. It's accurate. Now, with an oxycodone, there's danger there. You could be addicted. It may knock you out, whatever. But you know what it is. And in most cases, one pill is not going to kill you. But with this stuff, you got no clue what's in it. So one pill literally can kill. So I appreciate you all being here today, because what we're doing is we're pursuing this aggressive series of meetings like this as part of our overall strategy. What is our strategy and what is our goal? Our goal ultimately is fewer deaths, fewer people trying illicit opioids. And so how are we doing this? Well, I call it sort of a three-tiered system. We have prevention, we have treatment, and we have enforcement. These meetings are really important, primarily for the first two, okay? So prevention. Prevention means we want to educate people and raise awareness at college campuses in particular, beyond that, but particular college campuses, because this is where a lot of people try stuff at a young age and may get addicted. But prevention is about raising awareness and ensuring that you never try it. That's the goal. You never touch it, you never try it, and you are aware of the potential harm that can be done. Now, on the prevention side, we want student leaders, whether it be Greek leaders, student government leaders, campus leaders, we want you to be what I call a force multiplier, right? So we want you to go out after learning today and tell the group that you run, that you lead, that you participate with, maybe student government passes some rules or whatever and resolutions to get some things done. Maybe you work with the administration on it. But the goal is not just for you in here to understand, but for you to be evangelist for the truth that you're going to gain here today. So prevention, that's the ultimate goal. No one ever touches the stuff. But we know that some people will. Some people will hear the message and they'll do it anyway. That's just human nature. That's going to happen. Others are going to do it because they never heard the message. Because obviously there's a lot of people who are going to have access to these illicit opioid pills that aren't physically here with us. So what happens if someone does make that mistake? Well, hopefully they don't die. But this is the second part. This is the treatment, right? So this is where we're going to focus on the Narcan, the training, what to look for, what to do. We are paying for the installation of a vending machine here. We've done this on other campuses. It'll be a vending machine with a number of things that you can purchase, but down in the bottom, there'll be a couple of rows of Narcan that are free. In that way, you don't have to go ask someone for the Narcan. Some people may be embarrassed or feel like they're uncomfortable doing that. They can anonymously get that Narcan out of the bottom of the vending machine for free. And we've done this at other campuses, Fort Smith, University of Arkansas up in Fayetteville, and all over the state. We're putting one at Arkansas State as well. So this is part of the treatment. We want you to know what to look for, what to do if someone does take it and overdoses. We want to make sure that y'all are trained and ready. Maybe you're going to a party and you just stick one of the Narcans in your purse or in your pocket, and you just, because you've got a bad feeling about this place, or you just know sometimes people do things that they shouldn't, you may save someone's life with that. We've had that happen. We have absolutely had that happen. So that is what the training is about today, which is the treatment, the recovery side, if the mistake is made. And thirdly, the third part of our strategy, which we really don't deal with at these events, but it's important to know, is the enforcement side. And that is where we have worked with the legislature to get stiffer penalties for fentanyl in particular, and to work with other law enforcement to get the bad guys and girls, the criminals, and lock them up if they're dealing with this stuff, because it's deadly. So, raising awareness, prevention, helping people deal with the mistake, treatment, and then enforcement. That is really the way we change things here, and we will continue to spend these opioid settlement dollars to fund this sort of thing. But I think it's really important to think about the difference as you approach this between the prescription opioids, which can be deadly in great amounts, significant amounts, which are very powerful drugs, which are very addictive. They need to be, but they play a role in medicine. Those are sort of handled with care versus illicit, which is never handled. Flee, stay away, don't touch, right? So I appreciate y'all being here. Happy to take any questions, but this is really, really important. And this is just the beginning. You are going to be the ones to go out, to get the training, get the information, and go out and tell people about this and be the responsible one in a group who says, hey, y'all need to know about this, right? I appreciate the nursing folks that are here too. I know you're here in big numbers. And Madeline Atkins in the back, who interned in our office, and I'm sure it was an awesome experience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Any questions for me, or if I could volunteer? Russ.
No question.
See there, it was so clear, concise. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's China. The first question at the table would be, why are you intentionally killing our people? We know why. Again, if you'll Google gray zone warfare, China, look, I've been in the Army for going on 30 years, got a master's in strategic studies, and this is what we studied. So China cannot go to war with us. They would, right now, traditional war. They do not like our role in the South China Sea, keeping shipping lanes open and moving freely. They do not like our position on Taiwan. They want to dominate the South China Sea in that hemisphere. They have hegemonic intentions there, but they do not have what we call a peer level military at this point. So they're not ready for military confrontation with us at this point. So what they are engaging in is what's called gray zone warfare. So peace zone one, if you think of a spectrum, you have complete peace and traditional war, bullets and bombs, and people are dying, right? That's the spectrum. This is the way the national security world looks at it. Probably more than you ask, but I think it's important to know this. So gray zone is in between peace and traditional war. If you're not ready to go to war with an adversary because you haven't built up enough aircraft carriers, you haven't built up enough capability, whatever, then the gray zone is where you're really comfortable. The gray zone means they will do all they can to harm us without engaging in traditional warfare. So what are they doing? Well, they are sending over bioweapons. I don't know if you saw in Michigan, the federal authorities arrested some people in July maybe, where some Chinese nationals had brought some dangerous viruses, bacteria over, some sort of bioweapons. Cyber attacks is an example of gray zone. Back probably 10 years ago, NBC reported that what had been widely known for a while, that the Chinese are basically making a database on all Americans with the data they collect through cyber attacks. And they allow people to engage in these cyber attacks from their soil. In fact, they are state sponsored, right? So I've been busting a lot of these illicit sexual massage parlors around the state. Every one we've busted has been Chinese, every one of them. Chinese currency, Chinese wire transfers in rural Arkansas. Okay, the purchase of American farmland, the theft of American intellectual property. We had some even steal some years ago. Some Chinese nationals steal rice. The details on some genetically modified rice. They wanted that so they could better feed their people. These are all about getting competitive, strategic advantage, and one of those is fentanyl. With fentanyl, they're able to kill hundreds of thousands of Americans a year without spending anything. In fact, they're making money, right? No bullets, no bombs. So all of that, I say all that to say, I'm not optimistic that the Chinese are going to stop anything. I also read today that the Chinese, we know the Chinese about a month ago pledged to buy a lot more soybeans. I don't know if you saw that through trade talks. Well, since then, there have been no orders to speak of. They're initially, like in the few days after that, they ordered some. There's an article in the paper today in the Democrat Gazette. There are no orders. Look, the Chinese are not trustworthy, period. If anybody thinks they're going to stop shipping fentanyl and killing Americans, I think you're mistaken. So don't trust them. I think they'll continue to do it. And we've got to look. A lot of these things that they're doing, not necessarily the cyber attacks, but from the massage parlors to the fentanyl, etc. These are ultimately up to us. If people aren't frequenting their illicit massage parlors, if people aren't taking their fentanyl, etc., they have no power over us, right? So we've got to raise awareness so people understand. I would encourage every one of you to just search the word, the phrase gray zone warfare and China, just on Google or chat or whatever. When you leave here, you'll be shocked. This is something the national security world has been talking about for years, but opioids are part of that. There's no question. It is not, of all the countries in the world, it is not just happenstance that these ingredients are coming from China. It is not. It is by design. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so ultimately this is about getting the message to, I would say, older teens, okay, 18, 17, 18, college age, up to 35, 40. That's really the demographic. You don't see a lot of people my age, 57, going, hey, I'm at a party and I'll try, hopefully, you know what I'm saying, and I'll try, I'll try this or that. So the younger demographic, but if you're analyzing where do you get the most impact for your limited time, limited resources, right? It's the age when there's a lot of experimenting. Young people have been living at home. They're in a new environment. They're trying new things. I've been in college. Many of us have. We know how that works. And after a drink, even one drink, 2 drinks, 3 drinks, sometimes many more, you have no inhibition. You have no guard. It's completely down. And you'll do all kinds of stuff. So that is the most effective, it seems to me, and I think the data would show it, to target 18 to 22 or so on college campuses. It's not the only thing we're doing. Obviously, this is live right now on Facebook, and we push this on social media. So this is a message for everybody, but the most effective way to do it is push it to the audience that like this one here. It's really helpful actually to have nursing students and individuals who are going into healthcare, because they can really magnify this message. Where's the training going to be, Taylor? Right here in this room? In this room? Okay. So we got a bunch of T-shirts and other things. Look, it's a campaign of sorts. You can't be aware if you don't know. You know? And the more you know, the better equipped you're going to be. I would say that I doubt that anyone probably has thought much about gray zone warfare until today. Now you know the broader context. And I think a lot of people know opioids are dangerous, but they don't know the distinction between pharmaceutical grade and illicit now. And so that's something. This is all important. But anyway, anything else? Yes, sir. Well, we're giving them out. There's no enforcement issue there. It's a life-saving deal. It's not like methadone or whatever with heroin. I mean, this is, in and of itself, it is, there's nothing dangerous about it, and you're not going to get in trouble for having it if that's what you're asking. I mean, we want you to have it. I mean, we're giving it out, and we're giving it out for free. Now, we'll be giving it out a lot because over the years, because it has about a 3-year shelf life. So those have to be replaced. If you need money for that, you let us know. That's what we have the money for. A lot of settlements we get can be spent on a broad number of things, but opioid settlements must be spent on what's called opioid abatement. And there's a big appendix to the settlement of what it can be spent on, and Narcan's at the top of the list. So look, you're not going to get in trouble for having it. Yeah, I think it just depends on the quality. I think it depends on what it's laced. I mean, they're putting it in. We think of pills, but it's mixed in with so many other drugs now. It can they can lace joints with it. Now, why would they do that? Because it only takes a few grains, and it makes your high so high, and if it doesn't kill you, you're going to be wanting some more of that probably, right? They want to get you addicted. So there's a wide range. I mean, at these parties, they're often free. Someone says, here, right? So, I mean, it could be, it just depends. There's a wide range, but it could go from almost nothing to very expensive. But you got to understand, this is trash. I mean, they're just making these things wherever they can, putting filler. Some of them look very legit. Now, they may look like a pill that has nothing. They may look like a pill other than an opioid, but you don't know that. You just know it looks like a legitimate pill, right? It may look like a birth control pill. It may look like a Tylenol. Who knows? But you don't know. You just know it looks legit. Oh, that looks like a real pill till you're dead. So it's really, really important we get this message out. Anything else? Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. This is really important. Yeah, you want me to move this?